Madam President, ladies of the House and gentlemen, I'm standing in this vulnerable, rather magnificent institution to unclock the prurient, smelly ghost of Britons who came to India in 1600 as traders. India's share of the world economy when the Britons arrived on its shore was 23%. By the time they left, it was down below to 4%, with 90% of the population living below the poverty line, literacy rate of 17% and average life expectancy of 27 years. Why? Simply because India has been governed for the benefit of Britain. Indeed, Britain's rise for the next 200 years was financed by its depredations in India. Meanwhile, colonialists like Robert Clive brought their rotten boroughs in England on the proceeds of their loot in India, taking the Hindi word loot into their dictionary as well as their habits. By the end of the 19th century, the fact is that India was already Britain's biggest cash cow and the source of highly paid employment for the British civil servants. Violence and racism were the harsh reality of the colonial era, and no wonder that the sun never sets on the British Empire. It's simply because even the God couldn't trust the English in the dark. Living with 25 to 29 millions of Indians died of starvation in British-induced famines. The most famous example was, of course, the Great Bengal Famine during the World War II, in which 4 million people died because Winston Churchill deliberately, as a matter of return policy, proceeded to divert the essential supplies from civilians in Bengal to sturdy Tommies and Europeans as a reserve stockpile. And when some conscience-stricken British officials wrote to him pointing out that people were dying because of this decision, he peevishly wrote in the margins of the file, "Why hasn't the Gandhi died yet?" and used to call Mahatma Gandhi as half-naked saint. Well, we are also hearing about the aid to India by the Britons. I would like to point it out that it was around 0.4% of India's GDP, and you will be surprised to know that the government of India spends more on fertilizer subsidies, which I think is an appropriate metaphor for that argument. We are also hearing about the democracy and the rule of law. Let me point out with greatest possible respect, you cannot be rich to oppress, enslave, kill, torture, maim people for 200 years and then celebrate the fact that you were democratic at the end of it. We were denied democracy, so we have to snatch it, seize it from you. I consummate by remembering my great freedom fighters who sacrificed their blood for the freedom of this nation, and because of them, my country India is a rising and shining economy in this entire world. Thank you, Madam President. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.